this is my testimony, but I also want it to be a motivation for people who do deal with multiple illnesses. I have multiple illnesses that I have to deal with on a daily basis. So it's very difficult to manage them all at once in sense of eating and living and conditions and all sorts of things. But what I'd like to say is in 2019, in December, I was hospitalized for a very bad bacterial infection, which they couldn't figure out where it came from or whatever. I was in isolation ward. Sorry. And through 2020, it was like up and down. I was sick and then I wasn't sick, and then I was sick and then I wasn't. But in 2021, in February, I got very, very ill. There were times that I would force myself to come to church. And when they had a call on healing, I would put my hand on my head almost down to my toes, and that was the healing that I wanted God to do in my life, was from my head to my toes. And I would cry out, why? Why do I feel this way? It was like I was dying. I would stand and the sweat would just pour. I would want to faint. I was nauseous. It was multiple things. And so eventually I went to the doctor, and after a long battle of tests and figuring out, they found out that the one thing I had was fibromyalgia, but the other thing was I have hypothermia, which is the body, it can't regulate temperature. So when I get very, very hot in a certain temperature, it feels literally like I'm going to collapse. And after long discussions with the doctor and everything, he said to me, one thing that we can do, because the flat is so hot, we can put in isoboard, which will regulate some heat, take some of the heat away. But of course we went and had a quote done, and it was 11,000 Rand, and so that was out. So Nico was a bit upset, because, not upset, but he was despondent, because he is my husband and he wants to help me, but it was too much money. So I said to him, don't worry, we'll pray. And after some time, we let it go, we laid it at Jesus' feet, and off we went. So one day he's talking to a friend, and this friend says, how am I? So he tells him the story, and he says, I've got a plan for you. He says, I've just done a factory with isoboarding in. He says, it's a bit damaged. He says, but you can have it all for nothing. Gave Nico the keys to his bakkie. He went and fetched it at his warehouse in Voorby. And we had the isoboard. We had to fix it. There was humps and bumps. We polyfilled it, painted it, put it up ourselves. So there was the one miracle. So then in just before Easter in March, I had a near-death experience. I was in Checkers, and I was with my daughter and her husband, and I went away from them to go and look at something. And as I was walking down the aisle, I could actually feel I was leaving. It's a very, very strange feeling, because you know what's happening, but you don't want it to happen, and you like, your brain says no and your heart says yes. It's very strange, and I couldn't feel or see anybody around me. It was just me in that moment. And I grabbed onto a rail in Checkers. I don't know who saw me, I don't know. They must have thought this woman is mad. because I was praying like mad. I said to God, no, 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 no. We cannot do this now. I've got so much life to live. I've got things to do. I've got fun to have at church. I've got so much I still want to give. And as I say, I lived that out, and God gave me what I asked for, is life. And I struggled a lot after that, but the motivation, I couldn't understand, why doesn't Jesus heal me immediately? Why do I have to suffer through all this every day? But we've got to realize that sometimes we expect to come for a healing and it happens instantly, but sometimes it doesn't. He wants to take you through a journey of patience, knowing that He's God, and giving you the tools and the motivation to deal with what you have. I mean, we are human and we have to deal with what we have, but He gives you the strength, He gives you the motivation that you need to get through everything that you get through. And that's what I want people to, that have multiple illnesses, is to not get despondent. Live each day. I mean, there are times where I would just love to curl up in a little ball and go and lay in a dark room. Sometimes out of pity. But that's the devil's work. God doesn't want that for your life. You must step out. I mean, there are times that in my brain, I say, I don't want to go to church today. I don't want to serve this morning. I just don't feel like it. But no, get up, get dressed, wear your blessings well, and step into church and do your work well. He's got your back. He's got your life in His hands.